Good night, y'all. I'm on here a lot later than I expected to be. I wanted to be on at like 7. However, the day got away from me. So here I am. Huh? I'm going to, I have to clean the fish anyway. So if you want to join me, ask your questions. I'm going to start off with I'm on live camera. So unless you want to be seen, okay, that's what I thought. I'm gonna start off with some lemon water. This tub is where my cut fish is gonna go. All right, let me get myself situated here. How is everybody doing today? Ugh. I'm going to be cleaning some fish. I grabbed a few out the cooler just so that I can show you guys the process. Because I get a lot of questions about that. So ask whatever questions you may have. Hopefully I can see them. Hello. It's funny because it's true. Welcome. Just getting started here. I just putting on some gloves so that my hands don't feel smell fishy at the end of all of this. We're gonna be cleaning some lionfish tonight. Yeah, no, it's 9:30 at night. All right, so here is our test subject for tonight. This is the lionfish caught in St. Croix waters. They have 18 venomous spines. You'll see the most recognizable ones here at the top. You have 13 at the top. All right, it's like a mohawk. You have 3 on the bottom, which is called the anal fin, starting from here. And you have 1 on each of the pelvic fins. So those are what you need to watch out for whenever you're handling lionfish. The easiest way to go about cleaning this now, while my son makes noise in the background, is to cut off the spines so that you don't have to worry about poking yourself. All right. So those same 18 spines that I just showed you are what I'm going to cut off. All right. So this is the pectoral fin. It's used to corral the prey. It doesn't have any spines on it. And then you have this tail fin. So I'm going to carefully gather what I cut off and dispose of them. At this point, the lionfish is no longer a threat to you in any kind of way. And you can go about cleaning it the same way you would do any other fish. I start my cut at the top here, diagonally, and then run the knife along the back of the fish. My knife hopefully is sharp enough. Nope. This might need some sharpening. Let me try the other one. I do need a sharpen. Okay, yeah, this is the better one. Yeah, I just didn't have time to do it. And then you run the knife along the bones. So that's one side of the fillet. And I do the same thing on the other side. Run the knife along the back. Cut along the bones. This knife is better, but not much better. It's the key is to have a sharp knife so that you don't hurt yourself. But I'm gonna power through this. Okay, so now I have two sides of fillet. You'll see how white this meat is. And then to take off the skin, I just lay it flat, angle my knife down, grab the end here, and really you're gonna pull with the opposite hand, and there goes the skin. Now, I also need to remove the pin bones. Feel for the bones right here along the center and knock that out. Now I have a boneless, skinless fillet. Okay, I put that in my lemon water. And do the same thing to the other side. See how easily the skin comes off. Remove the pin bones from this, the ribs, rib bone, whatever you want to call them. Okay, and that's fillet number 2. A decent amount of meat, not the most, but you know. All right, now the next way I can do it without cutting the spines. So same concept, cutting from the head, run it along the back, down the bones. And this is usually how I do it, but I would recommend doing it the way I showed you first, which is removing the spines. But when you have, you know, 100 lionfish, um, the less things that I have to do, the better. I'm just careful about where the spines are. And as you see, this one is not as white. That's because there's a puncture wound here. So this was spared in the body, and you'll see a little bit of blood. Um, this doesn't change the taste at all, but it's just, you know, the meat got bruised during our capture. Good night. Can I appear bigger? Are you able to see the fish? Maybe I could kind of concentrate it on the table instead. I skin it and remove the bones. Throw it in my cleaning water. Okay. Jahan, can I borrow you for a minute? Okay. Boneless, skinless fillet. Let's see if we can adjust the camera a bit. Can I borrow you for a minute? I want you to push it. So hold it right here, right here, right here. Push it down some. Push it down some. Just push down. Keep going. Okay, and then angle it. So use the back part now. No, no, not up there. The back, yeah. And then angle it down some. Okay, and can you bring it forward? Okay, let's give this angle a try. Let me know if this is any better, okay? Make your cut diagonally. Don't go anywhere yet. Let me confirm. Run the knife along the backbone, down to the tail. Is that better, Cecilia? Celicia? I hope I said that right. And we can do a dissection on one of these as well if you guys are interested in seeing the inner workings of the lionfish. I think it's because you have a frame on there. Okay, the frame. Okay, thank you, Jay. All right, so like I showed you before, I have the skin. Just two. That's two so far. This is the third one. I'm going to pull while I have the knife angle down, and there goes the skin. Still need to remove the bones. And here you go. You see how white this meat is? It's a very mild flavor as well. It's not a fishy fish at all. Let me see if any of the ones that I cut already have an egg sac. Let's see. Nope. Nope. Okay, no egg sacs yet. So those last three that I cut were all male. Okay, let's see if this one is as well. And I'm gonna go back to the first method. So I was showing you earlier, there are 18 venomous spines on the lionfish, 13 along the top, 3 along the this is called the dorsal. So 13 on the dorsal fin, 3 on the anal fin, and 1 on each pelvic fin. Let me see if I could get closer. You can see that one sticking up right there, right? The skin has moved down a little bit, and you can see the pointy needle-like tip. All right, so we're cutting this off, cutting that. I'll take off the pectoral fins as well, although they don't have any spines on them. So just so you know, these fish have been in the cooler past the time where the venom would still do anything to me. So it takes 8 hours after the fish has been captured for the venom to no longer be viable. So even if I were to get poked, I would not suffer any effects. It would just be like getting poked by a pin or a needle. So I still don't want to do that. All right, let's do the fillet across the head. Run the knife along the back. Try to put it in the angle of the camera here. All right. And let me know if you guys have any questions. Is the spines poisonous even if the fish is dead? It is poison. It is venomous up to 8 hours. So I didn't even see that question, but I did answer it earlier. They are venomous, not poisonous. Being stung by one can cause extreme pain, swelling, nauseousness, different effects on different people depending on how bad the poke is and if you have any allergic reaction to the venom. All right, let's see. This also does not have any egg sacs. We'll find one though. Although I am surprised that I haven't run into one yet. So we catch these with a pole spear, a 3-prong pole spear. The 3 prongs allow it to go into the fish and stabilize the catch without the fish spinning around. So you don't have to worry about like getting poked. So basically, it goes into the fish, and then I have a device called a zookeeper that I then put the fish into so that I don't touch it at all while I'm in the water. I don't deal with it until after I'm done, like now. So this is going to be another one where I will cut with the spine still on, which is usually how I fillet my fish. All right. I got to remember to turn it so that you guys can see better. Kind of lift it up and then cut away at an angle down to release the meat. Just like filleting any other fish. Still no X-axis. That's impressive. And now I usually do grab a bit more from the fish, but I kind of just wanted to show y'all how I fillet it first. I usually grab, I don't even know what they would call that part, to be honest with you. The jaw, I don't even know what it is, but I'll show you because we try not to waste any part of it. The less waste, the better. And there's still a good bit of meat in there. It's like having a wing. So here we go. Boneless, skinless lionfish fillet. All right, let's try this one here. So the part I was telling you about is right here. So I usually grab this. I guess I kind of call it the wings. I don't really know what you would consider that part of the fish. Yeah. So these fish make for good tacos, ceviche. I like them fried. I like them blackened. They make good. I make lionfish. Sorry, not lionfish. Coconut lionfish, kind of like coconut shrimp. That seems to be one of the favorites around here. It's a very light, tender meat, mild flavor. Most people describe it as tasting like a mix between snapper and grouper. I still don't know how to quite describe it. I just know that it tastes good and everyone should try it. It's a great alternative to all the other fish that we normally eat. And if you don't really like the fishiness of fish, this is the perfect fish for you. And now I'm skinning. I'm taking off the skin off of this fillet, just angling the knife down and pulling away at the skin. Basically comes right off. And then I remove the rib bones. Again, same thing on this side. It's a little hard to get a grip sometimes just because of how slippery it is, but you get used to it after doing it for quite a while. Okay. Let's grab the so-called jaw off of one of them. Cut spines off first. And I still have not run into that egg sac, which is very different, because I usually see them all the time. Okay, so here's what I do with this. I push out the gill area so that I can then cut it. And really and truly it's just about pulling this apart, right? And then I also take the skin off, and I can just pull it with my fingers. I don't have to grab any knife or anything for this part. Just pull it away. And that's what this looks like. You see all that meat that would have gone to waste? And it tastes pretty much like the fillet as well. Like it has the same type of taste. I guess it is the same fish. So I think it's just a little more hearty. Not as tender, but it's definitely not hard or anything. It's not tough at all. If you guys know what to call that, I think it's the jawbone. I really honestly don't know. Can you go to the store and buy these? If you're in Florida, it's possible. They do sell them in some Whole Foods, or you can even request it. They do sell them in some Publix as well in Florida. As far as I don't know where you live, but other than that, you would have to, I guess, go to your local fish market or something. It's a little hard. If you are also in Florida, in the Key West, well, in Marathon, there's a restaurant in Marathon that sells lionfish dishes. They usually have it available because they buy them from divers so that they can sell the dishes. But yeah, as far as finding them in the store, if you're in Florida, possibly I would just ask your seafood department in a Whole Foods or Publix. Still no exact. Taste is clean, sweet, and slightly nutty with a firm and flaky texture similar to snapper and mahi mahi. Easy to season as well. Very much easy to season. It picks up anything you put on it. So whatever you want it to be, it's very good for that. That's a good description on how it tastes, I think. Whenever I hear mahi mahi, I always think dry, but it's it's not dry. So if there's anyone else that feels like mahi is dry, I just want you to know that lionfish is not dry. It's very juicy, buttery. All right. I think I have one that might have an egg sac. Let's see. It's looking pregnant-ish. Let's see if I'm right about that. So as you can see, I normally just cut around the spines. I don't take the extra time to cut them off. Usually because I'm processing a lot of fish when I'm doing this. And I've just been doing it for so long that I just work around it. I have never been poked. I know that might be one of your next questions. Is the skin edible? Yes, it is. It definitely is. When I keep the fish whole, I don't remove the skin. It's just the fillets I remove the skin. It's easier to cook without the skin on, because like if you like fry this with the skin on, it just curls up and all that stuff. So I usually just take the skin off, but definitely edible and it tastes good. Okay, this doesn't have an egg sac either. Well, or so if I leave the skin on, basically all I'll do is just scale. It's very easy to scale, right? Just go in the opposite direction. You go up and the scales fall off. So this is what it would look like if I was to leave the skin on and just descale the fish. Right? And I still remove the rib cage bones. Leaving the skin makes it a little bit harder to get through, but not bad. Same concept. Boom. All right. Let's spray this off real quick. So lionfish are a venomous and invasive species in this area. I live in the Caribbean. So the theory is that lionfish were released into the wild by, someone who had them in their aquarium, and they are able to reproduce every 4 days, every 3 to 4 days, 30,000 eggs. So, they are reproductive monsters and they eat everything. Anything that can fit in their mouth, they eat. And nothing here eats them because they don't realize that they're prey. I think they get intimidated by the spines. So if you were to spare a lionfish and then try to feed it to a shark, it will eat it. Same as with eels. But obviously that's not recommended because we don't feed the wildlife, because then you're just training the sharks and eels to expect us to be a food source. And that's not good for anybody, because you get sharks that get a little friendly because they're used to getting fed. So although they started doing that when the lionfish invasion first started, they quickly realized that it was not a good idea. Okay, because they were trying to train the sharks and eels and stuff to eat the lionfish, but it didn't work. So these are not caught by hook and line. It's possible for it to be caught by hook and line, but it's not something that happens, right? Very often. So the most efficient way to catch them is with a pole spear, one by one. So scuba divers, free divers are, fighting the cause. More and more people are, you know, equipping themselves with pole spears when they go diving. Because what's happening is that the lionfish are eating all of our native fish, and some of them are really important to keeping the ecosystem balance, right? So they will eat all the parrotfish if they could, once it can fit in their mouth. Problem with that, parrotfish keep the algae down on coral. So if you don't have that, then you have overgrowth of algae, you end up killing off the coral. So the lionfish has caused that imbalance in their invasive range. So we are just trying to help to control that. Now, I don't think we will ever eradicate the lionfish from this area. So the best we can do is to try our best to minimize the population. I went diving this weekend and caught 43 of them in 2 dives. And then the next day, around the same area, we went out again and we caught 22. Right? Those are some missed because sometimes if you don't get a good shot on them, they're at a bad angle for you to get to, and they sometimes get away. Most times I can usually, even if I miss, I can usually recover them. They like to hide in they like to hide in the holes and crevices of the reef. They're usually not out and about. Sometimes you see them above the reef, but most of the times they are in holes, hiding in the shadows. So when we're hunting, we are constantly looking inside of holes. I use a flashlight to help me see because you can't always see inside the hole depending on how the sunlight is hitting. Um, so a flashlight is definitely a necessity when you're hunting lionfish. When we find more than one next to each other, most of the time the other lionfish don't move because they just don't realize that we're a threat. They think that their spines will protect them, and they do protect them with most things, but like I say, my spines are longer than theirs. This is interesting. I have not run into not one with an egg sac to even show you guys what that looks like. And I think I grabbed about 12 lionfish to cut tonight. That's unusual. That's unusual. Most times it's usually like more than half that have egg sacs. And right now I'm 0 for 12. How successful has the process been since? So I think we're just maintaining. I don't think I mean, everything helps, right? So the best way that I find that we're keeping down the numbers is when places like Florida or even here, we hold lionfish derbies, which is basically a contest slash tournament, um, usually a 1 day tournament. And the goal is basically to get as many. They usually have 3 categories: most lionfish, smallest lionfish, largest lionfish. So the goal, obviously, to win the contest is to try to catch the most. And in that process, catching the biggest and smallest gets you usually prize money and other things. Those are usually the things that have the most effect, right? Throughout the year, there are contests. I'm in one right now called the Winter Throwdown, Winter Lionfish Throwdown. And it began in October, the beginning of October, and it ends in December. And it involves Florida and the U.S. Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. So now you have people who are trying their best to collect as many as they can before the end of the tournament, because that as well is kind of like the Lionfish Derby. It's just a longer extended. Um, And there are others like that too. In Florida, there's another one. FWC holds it. I forget what they call it, but um, it runs for a couple months as well. And those numbers that get pulled in are insane. The largest lionfish derby that exists happens in Destin every year. Um, I attended, I didn't participate, but I attended about 2 years ago. And if I remember correctly, that tournament, there were 25,000 lionfish captured between, is that a 2 day tournament? I think it's a 2 day tournament, but there were 25,000 lionfish captured. So that made a nice dent. Destin has a lot of lionfish. It has a lot of lionfish up there. That's a place you can go and you can see 10 in the same spot. But more, like I said, more and more divers are starting to do this. So that's helping to make an impact. But I don't think we could ever keep up with the reproduction rate, right? Because like I said, it's not like they have any other predators. So we're their only predator. You can basically say that. And they reproduce every 3 to 4 days, 30,000 eggs. So to put that in perspective, a female lionfish becomes sexually mature in 1 year. And in 1 year, it's possible for that one lionfish to release 2 million eggs in 1 year. So do you think that that's something we can honestly keep up with? I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but the numbers don't lie. Where I live in the Virgin Islands, we have an organization down here. It's called CORE, and they have organized dives as well, about twice a month or so. And basically, we go out 10 divers, 2 tank dive, and same concept, try to get as many lionfish as possible. That one, there's no prizes other than bragging rights. And you take your catch home if you want. It's a very sustainable fish. That's why I encourage people to try it, because I think if you try it, you're not going to regret. Also, does it create a harder for the lionfish that you miss? Sometimes, because they get smart. um, and you can kind of notice the behavior of the bigger fish too. Sometimes when you come across bigger ones, as soon as they see you, they start like moving away. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Because sometimes they just stay right there anyway. And I would assume that those are ones that probably have never seen a diver, is what I imagine. Huh? But yeah, most times, like I said, I am usually able to recover them. Um, because they don't really run far, but what they do is dig themselves into the crevices. So that's when the dive light comes in very handy, because I just go ahead and start searching all between, and my body and head ends up in some weird positions, trying to find them, but they really tuck themselves in. But there are parts of the reef where I can't see, if they're in a place that's deep, not deep as in feet, but the reef itself goes back, or the hole goes back further than I can get to, then it's gonna get away. But most times, oh, we got one with an egg sac. Look at that. All right, let's see if you guys are able to see. This white part is a swim bladder. So this is one egg sac. There is usually two. So it's about 15,000 eggs in each sack to make up that 30,000. So that's one egg sack here, second egg sack there. I hope you guys can see that. And so here's one, maybe better like this. And if they didn't have enough advantages, this egg sac, when it's released, usually has a noxious chemical on it that discourages other fish from eating it. So, you know, ultimate predator right here. Ultimate invasive species, I should say. They can be found in brackish water. They can be found in 0 to 1,000 feet. So that's the other problem. They can be deeper than we can reach as human beings. So that's one of the reasons I say I don't think we will ever actually fully eradicate them. But the best we can do is try to keep the population down as much as we can. Okay. These are I don't think this catch of lionfish that I got were super big. I guess that's a good thing. Oh, look at that. Got another egg sac. I went from no egg sacs to 2 in a row. And you see how small this fish is? And it's already reproducing. All right. Try to give you an idea of the size here. This fish is already reproducing. And if you know anything about fish, our like native species usually don't reproduce in 1 year. They usually take a lot longer to reproduce. They definitely don't spawn every 3 to 4 days. So they can't keep up with how crazy this fish reproduces and eats them off. So it's a struggle. But yeah, here goes another egg sac here. I haven't run across any like really hard bellies, because I could dissect one so that you can see. Um, they eat fish whole. They basically just gobble them up. So usually when we find fish, when we dissect them and remove the stomach contents, you sometimes really can tell what type of fish it is. As long as it hasn't been digested too much. And this species is one of the few fish that can end up with fatty liver disease because they overeat. Their stomachs can expand 30 times the size. So you have a voracious predator that has no predators of its own, with a voracious appetite, unchecked, that reproduces like crazy. Hence the reason why when I go hunting, I catch so many of them. Let me go over where the spines on these are again. The lionfish has 18 venomous spines, 13 at the top. They're mohawk. This is the dorsal fin. So 13 on the dorsal fin, 3 on the anal fin, starting from this point here. There's 3. And then on the pelvic fin, you have 1 on each pelvic fin. So it's if you're going to decide to hunt, it's best to educate yourself on where these spines are so that you know how to properly handle the fish. At this point, we're in 2025. I've been hunting lionfish for 10 years now. And I have not been poked. I got like a tiny poke, but it's more like, getting hit by the tip of a pin. It didn't actually go through my skin. But that's other than that, I have never actually, it's never pierced my skin, thankfully, because I've seen it happen to other people. It doesn't look like a pleasant experience at all. Anyone that you ask will tell you that it's one of the worst pains they have ever felt. That's the stomach. I can feel at least one fish in there, two, but it's real squishy, which means that they've been digested pretty well. So probably no point in opening that up. I remember one time when I caught some lionfish, and when I took it out the zookeeper, there was one that had a baby barracuda in its mouth, and the tail was still sticking out. That's how long the barracuda was, and it still ate it because it could fit in its mouth. That's how greedy they are. And it would have, like, if I didn't catch it, it would have eventually gotten the barracuda into its mouth, because it would have basically kind of like, I guess, would it be similar to like snakes, how they kind of coil inside the stomach to allow it to go inside. Does it cost a lot to maintain the population? Um, Cost would be the same as going on a dive. So for me, I own all my equipment. I own my tanks as well. So refilling a tank with air usually costs about $10. Where you run into costs is your method of diving. So if you're going on a boat dive, if you own a boat, you have boat expenses, right? That's going to be gas, boat maintenance. If you go with a charter, let's talk about Florida. Florida has boat charters, and they usually run about $80 to go on a 2-tank dive. So $80 charter plus your tank fills if you own your tanks. But at the end of your dive, you have dinner. I walk with my pole spare every time I go diving. I walk with my pole spare and my zookeeper every single time. Here's another egg sack. That's one sack. The other sack is on the other side. I like spearing fish. I don't even really go spear fishing like I used to, as far as to try to catch other fish, because I mean the lionfish taste so good. There really isn't that great of a need for me to even want to catch other fish. I still do sometimes. Sometimes you want a different type of, you want a different taste, texture. You want some variety. I like mackerel. I like snapper. Be honest with you, I think lionfish tastes better than snapper. So that's just how I feel. And you know, it's less strain on the native fish population if I stick to lionfish as much as possible. Last week I caught a big barjack. I cleaned and kept it whole, but it's gonna need to go on the grill because it was pretty big. So when I'm ready to deal with that, I just take that out the freezer because it's already seasoned and everything, and pop it on the grill. But lionfish is such a versatile fish. You could do so many things with it. Is that the egg sac? Yeah. This stomach has stuff in it too. Hmm. How long do the eggs take to hatch? Don't quote me on this, but if I remember correctly, it's about like 30 days or something. It's not very long. This is the stomach. There goes one fish. I can't tell what that is because it's pretty digested. But that's the tail. Its head is gone. I'm not sure what it was though. When I have a large batch like this of fillets, I'm thinking I should make some lionfish fritters. Probably do that sometime this week. Those are really good. They're a good alternative to saltfish fritters. I think on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give them a 10. To be honest with you, the supply just keeps going, right? I'm gonna cut these a couple more, and then we can wrap this up. If you guys have any questions, let them go. Let them out. Like I was saying earlier, it's very important to have a sharp knife for safety and for ease. Do you have to have a license to hunt them? Absolutely not. Because they are invasive, they have no rules on them. You can catch as many as you want, as little, as big. They can be any size, unlimited. And you don't even have to have a license at all. That's how much they want them, you know, removed. They don't have any restrictions on them. Of course, you would still need to be careful with local laws. There are places that have like marine reserves, and you can't hunt them there. We have a few areas here where it's no take zone. It doesn't matter what it is. So aside from that, there are no restrictions on catching lionfish. That's a good question. All you really need is a pole spear, and I would recommend a zookeeper. Before I bought a zookeeper, and I used to dive from the shore, I used to carry a pair of scissors in my dive jacket. And basically I would catch it on a pole spear, and then take my scissors and cut the spines off, and then put them in a bag like I would any other fish, because at that point I had removed the spines. But it's a lot more efficient to have a container that you just catch and put in. That way you don't have to, stop and mess around, especially if there's more than one. Who wants to stop to cut off spines? By the time you're done with that and you look around, the other lionfish might be gone. So it's a good thing to have. This is a swim bladder. It's still inflated. Let's see if this one has eggs. Nope, no egg sac. Hey, Sean, just cleaning my catch. I mean, some would say that the smaller ones are not worth filleting, and sometimes they're not. What I do though is, instead of filleting them, I keep them whole, and those usually get fried. I remove the head, take out the guts, and pretend like they're wings and fry them. So I still keep them. I just won't like do this filleting, because you're not gonna get too much meat. Sometimes I still do. If I intend to do like lionfish fritters or something like that. But most times when they get any much small, like a little smaller than this, I'll just keep them whole. And then we have lionfish nuggets, you can call them. Toss that. Remove the skin. Just angle the knife down. Grab the tip on the bottom here and pull. And then remove the rib cage bones. All right, toss that in my water. Keep in mind, guys, this fish is venomous, not poisonous. So there's no harm in eating it. You can't get poked. This one's a little soft. It's so tiny. Okay, this is the last one I'm gonna cut for tonight. I'll skin this, and then next step really is just to clean off my fillets. I started off with some water and squeezed like half a lemon in it, and that's what I dropped my fish in. So basically, I have a bowl full of lionfish fillets now, right? And basically, what I'm gonna do is rub off any debris that might be on it, and then I put this into another bowl. And then after that's done, and we have all clean fillets, I usually season it and then vacuum seal them. And then they go into the freezer, or if I plan to cook them the next day, I'll put them in a bowl or something. Thank you for coming, and thanks for asking those questions. Appreciate you. All right. I mean, unless there are any more questions, that's pretty much it for me for tonight. I'll see you guys again on the next go round. Enjoy the rest of your evening.